Hello, welcome back to TJ Maybe's YouTube channel, and we're going to talk Wheel of Time.
That
We've
we
not
are
discussed
indeed.
it prior to coming on live. I've only watched the first episode, so we'll see what goes where. So, Jim, what was your first thoughts when you watched it?
Oh boy, where do I begin? Um, I will give it some fair nods here and there. Um, Good scene locations. I will give them that. There's good backdrops, good kind of nature. Doesn't exactly follow the book even in that sense because it's supposed to be a winter that is kind of holding on. It's refusing to let the wintry grip go. You can tell that sort of with clothing that maybe it is a little bit cooler than it should be, but then again, suddenly you have tons of flowers and everything. So it's not like they're struggling, like the book is describing. Winter is still oppressing. They can't really get started planting crops and everything. So does that? I will say standout for me so far is the guy playing Matt. Um, his story arc, even though it's not exactly like the book, it still gives you more sympathy for his character, at least in the TV show.
Yeah,
But that's basically as far as they dip the toes at the moment for this. Because I don't want to run ahead too far since I know you haven't seen second and third.
yeah. Well, where do I start? What did I think of it? The biggest pile of shite I've ever seen. Apart from the scenery, I thought it was poorly shot. The fight sequences were crap. The characters were nothing to do with the characters. Oh, there was so many. It took me 3 hours to watch the first episode because I kept having to stop because I kept thinking, shite, makes no sense. Nothing to do with the story. The characters are all different. Everybody hate. All the men are useless. All the
Yep.
women are super duper. What affects the completely different from the whole connotations from the books. I was just so disappointed. The trailer gave me a wee bit of hope, but see, seeing this first episode, I'm actually even thinking, will I watch anymore? And if I do watch anymore, I ain't watched them on Amazon. I would rather download them on Pirate and just so I don't actually give them the notification that I've watched it. Oh my god. See, actually
Yep.
struggling through this, it was a struggle and a half. They've
That
basically
it
changed
was
so
because
much of it.
that's where my the rest of my notes are essentially landing.
Yeah.
Although I will give Archie Collin, we should probably support this show because it's yeah, because redheads are apparently on the way out when it comes in to Hollywood. But here we do have a redhead.
Yeah. But you know fine well he's going to be the weakest, the worst, the most arrogant, the most pathetic,
Well, this is where I wanted to
because
kind
he's
of
male.
dive in, but I don't know what angle to come at it from. So,
Well, you
uh,
even look at it
if, if,
from the beginning, right?
yeah, so if you look at it that way, Nynaeve is supposed to be a little bit under pressure, but she's supposed to be stubborn yet
Uh-huh.
patient. She's supposed to be caring. It's her responsibility that the entire village is taken care of, that they protect it. But this Nynaeve, she's arrogant,
Yeah.
disdainful, she's dismissive. She's arrogant well above and beyond what she should be. And I don't know, I just could not find anything likable about the way it's being portrayed here.
I couldn't find one character I liked. Not one single character which was a likable character. Not a single one. Look at it from the very beginning. Let's start from the beginning. Moiraine's um, talk, chat, discussion, or talking about the prophecy, her monologue,
Mm.
in effect, for Taviran. completely different. Already set it up that, oh, a woman could be it, a woman could be the dragon, no problem. So I think that's where they're going to go. It's going to be Egwene or Nynaeve, one of the two. The three boys are just red herrings. They're just there to actually show how weak the women are.
Which is what I was building up to.
Even the thing with the
Did
source.
you notice none of the crucial important event for Ran were present whatsoever?
None of them at all. Not one single thing. You
Yeah.
you look at it from the beginning, even right. The Red Azure chasing down the man who could channel. What did they say?
It's for women. It's not meant
It's
for
not
men.
meant for men, for women only. Man touching the source makes it filthy.
Yeah, which is
Considering the
not
source has
accurate.
got the
Even
two
Red
halves, the
Archer
male
know they
on the
need the
female,
men.
the male and the female half. The fact that Moiraine basically says that everything bad that happened was because of men from the very beginning. And then the first thing they have is the Red Badgers chasing them down, and they're basically saying men are not meant to touch it, it's for women only, and if a man touches it, it makes it filthy, implying it's only the one thing. Oh,
Yeah,
I was not a happy chappy.
but
That basically stopped me. I literally stopped my tracks. I had to switch it off. Sat down for about 10, 15 minutes. As you can see, my Wheel of Time shelf is gone.
oh, didn't
Is
notice that.
gone. I used to actually laugh when somebody says, well, when I watched Doctor Who after seeing the Timeless Child, I just couldn't watch Doctor Who again, get rid of all my stuff. And I used to think, why would you do that? Just go back to watching the classics or whatever. I can understand it. I actually deleted it from my phone, stopped listening to it, get rid of the books are gone, they're in a box somewhere. And I
Hmm.
thought, I don't want to even remember this based on I don't want to watch I don't even want to think about the books based on this piece of crap. It
Well,
literally made me the whole it basically stained the whole of the book legacy. Because now every
it
time I
definitely
think
left
about
me a really
Moiraine,
bad taste. It
yeah,
really did.
every time I think about Moiraine, I think about the one I saw on TV, which is a shitty version. Every time I saw Lan, I just see the two of them in the bath together. Every time I see um, Matt, he's a thieving bugger. I don't care enough about him. Don't want a thief. Too big deal. Don't no interest. Every time I see Perrin, there's this guy who, in effect, is not a blacksmith's apprentice. He just helps his wife out in the blacksmith shop. She's the one that does all the work,
Oh,
and he's just there as a helper.
that
And
part of
and
that
he
part of
kills
it
her,
really had me going.
and he kills her at the end. And in effect,
But
Maureen says,
you're
"You
jumping
all need
ahead
to
a
leave,"
long
and he
time.
just turns around and goes, "Fine."
Yeah, but you're jumping ahead quite a lot here.
I know, but it's just the fact
Since
is
when
all these
was
characters, every
Perrin
time that's why the
married?
books are gone. The books have literally been moved. They are
Yeah,
out of my sight because it literally tainted all of that. And I used to actually think, why would Jodie Whittaker's Doctor or The Last Jedi thing taint how you saw the rest of these programs? Now I understand it.
yeah.
I saw it and I thought, not a chance. But
But
there you go. The Red Adger, the opening
Sanders
lines,
another
men
one, yeah.
broke the world, now for women to fix it. Yes, it is that whole thing. All men are bad, all men are weak.
Yeah, but there are so many things that are weird there. But if we focus on Perrin for a little while, since when was he married and
He was
expecting a
never married.
child?
That's the thing. It was all about how he went to help his friends. Now, what's all to do with Fael and all that later on makes zero sense. They've
Yeah,
effectively changed it. They've changed it so it's not all they've done is taken the basics of it, and just in that first episode took me 3 hours to get through it because I didn't even think after the first 5 minutes I could watch the rest.
yeah. But it was just such.
The how
It
much of the
sets
men
his
broke the world.
line up. It's quite a lot, but technically it was the dark one that tainted the male
Yeah,
source
but
because he
that's
couldn't
like that takes
reach
us into
the
Archer's
female
question
source.
there.
Yeah,
Archer's question is men broke the world. How accurate is it in the book? Yes, the men destroyed the world, but it wasn't the men the men wanted to try and seal the Dark One. None of the females thought it was a good idea to go and try it. So they went to try it. The 100 companions went to try and seal up the Dark One, and as his master stroke was, he tainted the male half of the source. So any man who touched
Causing
it
insanity.
went insane, which caused all the breaking of the world. So yes, the men caused it, but it wasn't because the men were bad. It's just a case of none of the women would get involved. So the men went to seal the Dark One in, and as a counter
Even
stroke.
though extremely poorly explained when the Red Archers is chasing down that first
Yeah,
guy, when he has his imaginary friend, it's not even given half a heartbeat to show that, oh, it's insanity, it's something odd going on here. And this is
yeah,
someone that has just begun uh, reaching into the one source.
yeah. But
Um,
that's what I'm saying. If we even look at it from, as I said, from the beginning, right? You've got this part with Moiraine's speech about how men destroyed everything. It's up to the women to solve it. Then you've got the Red Adger saying it's not meant for men; it's for women only. And if you touch it, it makes it filthy, as if it's only this source. There's only the one, where there's two. The rumours of 4 Targaryens in the two rivers.
it was three.
But they were looking for any hints, and it was just a case of they were looking round everywhere. The fact that there was the rumours of Fort Avern, where did that come from? It was just a case of let's get to Two Rivers and we'll explain it, instead of she was just travelling around trying to find things. But so other people knew there were 4 Targaryens. How did they know that? Where did the rumour come from? It's basically it was
There's too
contrived.
much exposition going on as well. And I'm not sure if you picked up on it, but the Two River folks are way too clued in on what Trollocs are that they haven't seen in 2,500 years. They know exactly who the White Cloaks are. They know exactly about the Aes Sedai. They know all of these things.
Yeah.
And
But
it's like,
it's even the
no,
fact is Moiraine walks in. She shows her ring. First thing she does, really, the first thing that happens, right? The two of them talking after the man, and it's a case of they're heading to the Two Rivers because there's the rumor of Fort Avern. Yeah.
no. She
Then
was looking for anyone
she was
around the
looking for
age of
anyone, so
20.
she was traveling all the places just to look and then ask questions. She didn't already know all this, and then even the fact is, when you start getting introduced to the characters, first thing happens, Matt's has got a gambling addiction. He's constantly losing money. He's a gambling addict. He's effectively an addict. Then you get Perrin, who's already married, and you're sitting there thinking, well, that's two.
Married with kid on the way, by the way.
Uh-huh. But that's what I'm
So,
saying. So not only does
but
he murder, he kills his wife and his child
yeah,
to be. And you're
but
sitting there
that was
thinking,
the only
he's sitting
time I
there
actually
having a
saw him
drink
in
with
the
his friends.
blacksmith.
He's having a drink with his friends, but she's working hard, and somebody has to tell him to go and help her, because it's hard work. You should
Yeah,
be helping her. As in, she's a smith, go and help your wife, because it's hard work and you should be helping her. She's already working, you're sitting there having a drink. So Perrin's a waster, Matt's a waster. Egwene getting introduced to the women's circle. The women's circle is basically the ones who make the decisions for the same as the men's
yeah,
council. Is the men make the decision for the town, the women's council do the same idea. But the idea that as soon as you become an adult, you get introduced to the women's circle,
no,
and to do it, they push them into the river and nearly kill them. You're sitting there thinking, where the hell did that has nothing to do with the books at all?
no.
She just actually allowed to braid her hair because that is the Two Rivers way of actually saying somebody's come into maturehood. They've aged the characters from like the 15, 16-year-olds to 20-year-olds. They've said that even in the bum before it. They deliberately aged the characters. And it was because the sex scene. They
Yeah,
wanted to have
they wanted that
the
in.
Rand and Egwene having sex. You're sitting there
Mm-mm.
thinking, that's not, it's all about their proposal, and he doesn't want to um their journey, and about how he's always trying to protect her because he's in love with her, because that's always been expected. They've been betrothed, and he just doesn't want to, later on, doesn't want to actually upset her by saying he's no really longer in love with her. Then there's the sex, the two of them have had sex, and you're sitting there thinking, really?
Mhm.
But even things like Egwene is the centre of attention. She
Yeah,
comes
but
in after it.
she's the center of attention, but she's also completely opposite as to
Yeah,
Egwene from the books.
but you look at it, she comes in after being initiated into the women's circle, and her father comes up. Oh, I'm really, Bran, I'm really thinking we need to get up because there's a lot of tables, and the women come up. No, 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 no. We need to go, and there's all the women quaffing drinks and all that, and you're sitting there thinking, so the women have all got the men's traits. The women are all the ones that are quaffing the drinks and stuff like that. Oh, and she's just to say, but Bran just looked such a wuss. This is the guy who's meant to be the mayor. He's if you could just see his face, he's just
Oh
and it's
no.
come on, all the women carousing and flaggings and drinking up and all having a laugh, and you're sitting there thinking, really?
So, but
And then
it's the rest of the theme throughout it. It's the women that do all the work. The men are just lazy. They need to be told to get back to work.
yeah,
Even if you take the Trollocs coming into the village that first night,
that
did
was
you
a
see how many Trollocs got killed by women? Like
well,
lifting up
that's something I've got in my
sledgehammers.
notes. That's something I've got in my notes. A Taviran, according to the book, is the wheel of time is all the weavings of people's life are getting woven into the wheel. But a Taviran can tug at the wheels, at the strings of other people. So they basically they basically drag people along with them. So like if a Taviran was going to battle, he would he would drag all these people's lives into line so he would get the people to help. It's basically someone who would have a force of personality that would drag people into things, but it's not a conscious thing. It's just something like he would meet someone and they would talk about how great the queen is, and that person would suddenly decide, I think I'll go into the city to see the Queen because this is happening. And then there would be a battle, and they needed people to actually step up for the Queen. And because he was there, he would step up for the Queen. And it was because the Targaryen pulled at his strings to make sure he was in the right place. So a Targaryen is someone who drags people along with him
Mm.
without realizing. So
Yeah,
it's
so
just that.
it's not as conscious. It's more like the
It's
fate
more of a
is evolving
subconscious thing.
around these
Yeah.
Taviran.
But the fact is, you look at when Egwene and Lan and Moiraine walks in, they just walk in, and then who's standing there looking as if they're ready to protect everybody because this strange guy walks in? Is it any of the guys? No, it's Nynaeve. She's standing there with her dagger, giving them daggers. Really? So you've got Bran, who owns the wines, and who's the mayor, not there. You've got all the males, so you've got even Tam and all that, and they're not there. It's one of the women standing there with a hand in her dagger, ready to protect everyone. Really,
Yeah, yeah.
she's all the men sitting there curtaining. The fact that she even Moiraine came in and tapped at a ring, that god awful piece of crap jewellery.
Yeah, I did not like that jewelry, but also, whether you take it from the book or from the TV show, she knows the Aes Sedai are being hunted in this area of the world,
Yeah,
that there are dangerous people coming after them. You're not exactly going in and broadcasting your presence when it's just you and your warder.
yes, but there's also the aspect of it that Amy says about it being so diverse. On the trailers, it looked a lot better because a lot of the people Rand stood out because a lot of the villagers all had darker skin, so they were all coloured or they had a very sallowed skin. And Rand
Mhm.
stood out because he was white. In the books, it's just a case of he stands out because he's a lot taller and he's fairer hair and it's a reddish thingy, whereas all the other ones were shorter, dark hair. But they put that down to his mum was an outlander, so he had some traits from his mum. But in this one, they're saying he stands out. But you look round it, they're all different. So you've got some people who are black, some people who are white. So how can you say he stands out? Because
Yeah,
half
it
the
doesn't
village
stand
is
out.
Half the village has got the same traits as him, apart from his slightly reddish hair. But then again, all you see a lot of men and women with grey hair. So was it a case of did they have reddish hair? So you can't see why he stands out. The thing was he stood out in amongst this place because he was taller and he had the reddish hair, and that's what made him stand out in the books. Because people kept referring to, oh, you look like a yeoman, and you're sitting there thinking, well, he could have, according to the trailer, but as soon as you go into the thing, then half the people look like him. So how does he
Yeah.
stand out? He doesn't, and that's the thing. So if they had the
There's
village and majority of them,
so many frustrating parts around all of it. I mean, you literally have to make a conscious effort to move this far from source materials. All of Rand's stuff that is important and crucial to the length of the story, why the others would care and gravitate towards or
yeah,
around him, all of that is completely gone. Um, Egwene is completely opposite to what she should
yes,
be. She's warm, she's open, she's actually having some kind of like even better maturity than the naive character, which is
yeah.
kind of wrong because she's
She would
supposed to
like a
be the
bit more.
naive
She
one
wants to do
and not.
something to help people, and then she gets that
Yeah,
opportunity to go with Moraine, and she jumps at it because she wants something different. But see, like Archer saying about the chucking in the person at the river, the whole women's circles thing made zero sense to me. Why? Because it's never in the book, and considering they leave that, the fact that the women's circle scene, I don't understand why it was in the book or why it was in the show because it was never in the books, and as even in the show, I had no idea what it was about. She was coming of age, but yeah, the
but the
braiding
women's
of the
circle was
hair,
just like the town council. It was just like a handful. It was just 4 or 5 people. It was the same
yeah,
for the women's circle. It was just a handful of people. They were dealing with and running their business. Here it is like, oh yeah, all the women are in the
yeah,
circle.
and it's a secret, so none of the men are meant. You're not meant to talk about it, really. So basically, being a woman's in a secret society, they're not allowed to talk about it. And that's what it almost came across as. The men's all everybody knows what the men do, and but a woman, oh, to become an adult, you're not allowed to actually tell people what you have to do, and you're sitting there thinking, really, oh, I just sting me.
Yeah, they handled it really poorly, but the
But
visuals sometimes they are a little bit all over the place. So sometimes it's really nice, high end, it looks really good.
but
Then a couple of
the
shots
scenery
later,
was
it's
the scenery was the best thing about this whole thing. I could have watched pictures of the scenery rather than watch that whole thing again. If somebody showed me a picture of the scenery, I could have watched it. If I have to watch that whole program, no, I would rather to look at a single picture of the scenery. The scenery was amazing, but it made zero sense, and it was all go. Even the thing when Moiraine walked in, what did she do? She looked round, Nynaeve, Egwene, Matt, Perrin, and Rand. Oh, she picked them out straight away. How how clever was that? She literally,
that's another thing they destroyed too.
yeah,
The rivalry between Nynaeve and Moiraine. The reason Nynaeve is getting a little bit, shall we say, cross with Moraine is because she's obviously protective of the village. And the first thing Moraine does in the book is she coming in and she's asking so many personal questions. Where were you born? Who are your
yeah.
parents? Tons of stuff like that. Here, she just goes in and tells like spiel directly to Nynaeve and
This
then
is
just
what's
walks off.
happening. But there, Colin was saying that it makes sense. It's so it would be noticeable, and that's why they would comment in rumours. But you remember, these are in the book. They're 15, 16 year olds. They don't know they're Taviran. Nobody does. Nobody believes it because they've never heard Taviran. The fact that she's talking about that as if these four people stand out because things happen around them. In the
To be
village,
honest, if I
in
remember
the
the
village,
book, the first
there's
time you
nothing
come across
noticeable
the
about them.
word, the first
But
time
in
you
the
come across the
village,
word Taviran is Ogier, loyal.
uh,
That's the first character that mentions it.
yeah, but the fact is, Taviran in the book, nobody knows at the beginning they're Taviran. But the fact is, if these things were happening, people in in the town would be the first ones to notice it. Yet these are just four ordinary people. Yet The rumours are around the world that there's four Taviran, yet nothing in the village that these people stand out. They're just normal kids, as it were.
Yeah.
But so they go on about it as if, yes, people would know. But in the village, there's four normal people. There's no, oh, you need to stay away from him because this thing, every time he's here, something happens, or every time she's here, things happen around her. It just doesn't make sense with that.
I mean, I buy a little part that a TV show or a film, limited screen time, but it should have been more rain, or maybe land, or maybe some other external, giving the exposition, explaining, oh, the Aes Sedai is this is dragon, this is Trollocs, this is that stuff.
Yeah,
Not constantly Nynaeve or one of the kids like speaking like they have 50 years of world experience and know all of these things.
yeah. But
It,
the thing me about the throughout history, yes, there's always been frequently women only species. But in this book, this is a very matriarchal world. The Aes Sedai are the most powerful. They make they basically they can make rulers dance. Even ones that do not hate the Aes Sedai in the books, if they called on them to come in to speak to the Amerlin seat, they would come. So even the high commander of the Children of the Lights, he might not like it to be planning an assassination at all times, but he would still come because they are powerful. They are the most powerful. There's most of the powerful heads of state, and a lot of them are females. So it's a very matriarchal culture. But the fact that the women circle about how to become an adult or you braid your hair, that was just one of these things. It's like um, when you braid your hair in certain cultures, it's a case of you become an adult when you do this or when you do that, males or females. That's what the braiding of hair was to signify that this person is considered by the women's circle, the women who help make the decisions have decided that yes, she's old enough to be married or courted or whatever. So the braiding of hair was just to signify she is old enough. However, they've actually taken it into almost a secret society where women only. And you're sitting there thinking, where did this come from? And that's the point. Yes, you might only have women's only spaces, but this book is a case of the men think the women just interfere, the women think the men don't know what they're doing and they need to be told and guided and stuff like that. So it's they have aspects of that, but they don't say the men are stupid for that, or the women are stupid for that. They just have different ideas of what's important. So the women will say, "I'll let him off with the unimportant things, so I can tell him what's important, so he'll listen." And then he'll say, "Well, I let her think she has her say because I let her say believe it's an important thing she's making a decision on, but the important things I do." So the two of them think what their choices are as important, whereas the other one thinks it's unimportant. So there's that aspect of it. It's about different the way the characters, the males and females, work together because some the males see one thing is important, the females see is another is important. The other think that what the other one sees is unimportant. So there's that equalness to it
yeah,
because believe it or not, males and females see different things as important. But it's the fact is, it's almost a case of all the men are useless and it's all the women.
yeah, and this is the. I mean, it's already heavily matriarchal as it is, but this
Yeah,
feels like they just took the source material, stuffed it with as much TNT as possible like make it even stronger. It's like, oh yes, women. It's only women that can do anything, and it really goes so far above
yeah,
the target that it really misses it. It misses the point completely,
yeah,
and it makes if this is women strong, really, this is actually quite embarrassing.
yeah. And there, Archer was saying about how he liked the way the previous wisdom's experience with the White Tower was used to explain the current wisdom's apathy with the newcomer. Yes, within this iteration. However, the White Tower are actively seeking out people who can channel. The current Amerlin seat in the books was born to a poor family in Tyr, and she became the most powerful because once they become Aes Sedai, doesn't matter if they were born poor or rich, as long as they had the ability to channel, that's what mattered because the
Yeah.
ability was dying out and there was less and less Aes Sedai throughout
Yeah. So
over
she would
history.
not really
So
have
she
been
would
turned
not have
away.
been turned away just because she was poor. That was a thing I've got marked down. Where is it? The Aes Sedai are snobs and elitists because they just looked at her and thought, poor, go away, because we don't care if you've got the ability. And that's not what the books are at the opposite. The books are, they'll take anyone who has got the ability to train them to make them into an Aes Sedai who has got the power. Because the current Amerlin was born a poor fisherman's daughter.
And not only that, their numbers are dwindling. They know
Yes,
it. They're
but that's
desperate
what I'm
to
saying.
find.
But in this TV show, she got turned away because she's poor. And you're sitting there thinking, really? It's a complete at odds from the current Amerlin in the books.
That's another
Sanshi.
gripe I had with it as well. The clothing. I mean, okay, they're farmers. They don't exactly have all that money in the world, but if you look at the clothing they have, it's nice cuts. I even think I saw a few resewn, like modern day 2020 fashion apparels
See
that
the
were like
clothes thing.
restitched a little bit, but you saw the inner lining and everything. It's like, really?
Yeah, the thing is with the clothing, I didn't care. It literally the only one I noticed was Moiraine. She
Well,
looked like
the
anybody
clothing is
else.
fairly important because you
See,
have
to
the
me, it
art with
didn't. It was
Matt.
unimportant. For the simple fact is, the whole story was shite, so the rest of it was unimportant. The
But
only one that I
um,
noticed is because of Moiraine. In the book, she's a very classy, well dressed, and she's very almost like a
regal
lady. So
looking.
that's what they treat her as, a high lady, because she comes across as that. They don't know she's an Aes Sedai. They treat her that way because they think she's a high lady and stuff like that. And it's later on, and it's basically she walks in. She could have been anybody from the village. Big deal. She didn't stand out. Nothing. But that's
No.
why she had to show a ring so she could stand out. Otherwise, she could have just been another person. And that's the parts I didn't like. And the thing is, they're drumming in the matriarchal society, but they're turning around and to make it a matriarchal society is all men evil, all men thick, all men stupid, and that's what I hated as well. Every time they did it, it's just a case of they're basically saying, "See him in the books, he's the hero." No, in this. See him in the books, he's the stoic hero. No, in this. See him in the books, he's the jokester hero. No, in this. See her in the books, she's the heroine. In this, she's not only that, she's also a heroine for this. She can do this and she can do, and it's that aspect of it. They're hitting you over the head with the stuff. Um,
As I pointed out in the beginning, I don't think I've ever seen in any recent TV show so much women power going up and slaughtering monsters that are
yeah,
9 feet tall, and they do it with ease. Whereas
right.
the men are
Let's go
chopping
into the
away and
fights.
chopping away and
Yeah,
chopping away and not managing to kill them. And a woman comes in and it's like, wham, one smack, head explodes. It's
yeah.
like,
You look at the fight sequence, right? Right. There's things leading up to it, like, with Moiraine giving it all this dead slow, and you're sitting there thinking, all these people are getting murdered around her, and she just appears after the fact because they're seen standing in the hill just before, so they're not
hmm.
even in the village. There's people getting killed left, right, and centre, and then they come in, and she's stoating around giving it all this to give it the effects. That's not how it works. It's a case of she calls out fireballs, lightning, the dead, and then with Lan, when you see it from above, him dancing around, and it's almost a case of it doesn't even look a good choreographed fight. It just looks like a
I
cut
saw
scene slash.
far too many where it's like pause, okay, hit me now, and then I move to the next. It
Yeah,
was too visible. They were trying to hide it behind a little bit of the visual effects,
and it
and
just
I
gets
don't
cut
mind the
and
width,
slapped.
but that was too long. I mean, she stands there trying to cast something for a whole minute.
Yeah, exactly. And then the trollocs, they're basically running over, killing people, chopping people down, but any of them you see getting killed or avoiding. Look at the bit where the Trolloc corners Nynaeve and Egwene. She's up there with a knife going shoot, shoot, stab. Yet earlier on, you see people with spears and getting just chopped away and stuff like that. You're sitting there thinking, really? And then even the Perrin and Egwene, whatever her name was, the wife, was fighting. She's the one with it swinging the hammer and beating him up, and he's getting the axe. And just because that one finally he gets one and gets him killed, and then she taps him, and he thinks it's her, and he turns around, slashes her in the belly, and you're sitting there thinking, really? So basically now Perrin's the killer of his wife and his child.
Yeah.
Oh, but Moiraine says we need to leave, and he goes, okay. If you don't leave, there'll be more killing. Okay. It's basically Perrin goes because she convinces them that it's the best thing to do. And then even the fact that you see all the lights coming over a hill, there's more of them coming, they'll keep coming and kill everybody, you know. Okay, we'll go. Really? Where's Nynaeve? Oh, she get dragged off. So basically the Trollocs are killing everybody, but they drag that one person off and they don't kill her straight away and eat her as soon as they're out of because that's what the Trollocs do. In the middle of a battle, the Trollocs are stopping to eat people and feed.
And not only is in the middle of the battle, they're in the outskirts of the battle. The Trolloc is actually dragging her into the center of the battle,
Right
and
across,
they vanish on the other side of it. And it's like,
yeah. Did you even
what?
see the bit when they were actually putting all the wee boat things out? He's got a
Yeah,
box of matches. In the book, it's all about Flint and because there's an illuminator who introduces matches, or she calls them sticks,
yeah,
because it's her invention. And this is obviously setting up for later on because they need a way of firing the dragons. Remember the later on in the book they invent the dragons, which is basically rocket missiles or cannons, and they need a way to fire them quickly, and that's where the sticks come in. So they introduce things early on here and there, and they bring them all together later on to try and help the humans fight against Trollocs and the vast numbers of them. So that's why they introduce things. They get them from all over because of rumors. So they'll get the Illuminators to in and ask them to help them with the cannons because they need the right amount of gunpowder and how they would do this and stuff like that. And that's where the matches come in. But they've got them here. They basically, you see the Tam strike, light it, and you've got to be book a box of matches, and you're sitting there thinking,
this is where they're going to miss so much of the world building, because if you remember them traveling around, suddenly they come up on a new city, and it seems, or at least the way it was painted for me, is that, oh, here's the city. They've been traveling for a couple of weeks now, and this city is completely different. They seem to have high technology in this town. They seem to have, shall we say, comfortable like life assisting technologies. And then you come to the next town, and suddenly you're back again to low tech. It's open furnaces, fires, pots, blacksmiths, bronze.
yeah,
So, but they completely scramble it now because all the technologies, everything was already there in Two Rivers. The
yeah.
kids know absolutely everything there is to know about the world.
Uh-huh. It's
There will
absolutely
be no
crazy.
learning curve. There will be
There's no
no.
learning curve. But even things like Nynaeve is not from the Two Rivers, really, just so they can include her in. That is Rand's story. They've given it to Nynaeve. Rand is not from the Two Rivers. He was brought in.
Technically, she wasn't from the exact village,
No, she
but her
was. She was
family
from the.
is
She was
in the
from the
valley.
Two Rivers because there's basically the Two Rivers in the book is the area.
Yeah.
Emmonsfield is the village. There's
That's what I was trying to
Devonride and
say. So she wasn't from Emmonsfield, but
Field,
she is from Two Rivers.
Two Rivers. But that's what I'm saying. She's now implying that she's not from the Two Rivers, because they wanted to bring all those Two River towns to one, so they didn't need to mention all the different villages in the Two Rivers as an area. They just called the town the Two Rivers.
Mm.
But the fact is, you look at the scene where after Moiraine starts killing him, it's all the women. You see a Trolloc there and all the women with the pitchforks. They're all where's all the men? Gone. Then you've got Matt's mum, a drunk. She's a drunk. Why? Probably because his dad is a womanizer and not a very nice person. The two of them run away and leave their kids. So Matt has to go and rescue the two sisters. Then you've got Perrin, who's married but kills his wife by accident. Then you've got, oh, it's really, it's that aspect of it. Then you've got Lan, one of the better characters in the book, and he wants to leave because there's more Trollocs coming. We need to get out of here quickly. Yeah, in the book, Lan would be there trying to make sure the Trollocs are dead before he leaves. But
Yeah,
he says, we need to get out of here. There's more Trollocs coming. As in, let's leave this place. And that's exactly the way it is. There's a Trolloc and Fates coming. We need to get out of here. As in, we need to run, leave these people to whatever happens. And that's the aspect of it. Yet in the book, Lan is complete. Do you know my favourite
in the
characters?
book, they even steal away in the middle of the night.
They do, just basically knowing that the Trollocs will be hunting these four, but they don't turn around and say, let's get out of here because there's Trollocs coming. It's a case of almost leave these people to their fate. It's no us. We need to survive. But it's the aspect of it is you look at the characters, right? The characters in the book, you've got Rand. In the TV show, he's a non-entity. There's nothing stands out
Well,
about
he
him.
hasn't even been given his own storyline to play with.
Yeah, he's got the sword, but you don't know where he got it. Apart from the fact that his dad brought it out at the very last minute. Didn't even kill a. It didn't really kill a Trolloc because Rand did that. So a blade master in the book who kills four Trollocs and just accidentally gets wounded because he was trying to take on too much and try to protect Rand at the same time. But he couldn't even actually do one because Rand took the other one down.
That is such a scene that for me stands out in the book.
Yeah,
He managed to get Rand out of the house just when it's warm in and everything. He managed to fight him off and then get out of the house. He sees where Rand is, but he pretends that Rand is somewhere else. He just legs it, goes away
yeah,
somewhere else, and just screams to that area to try and draw the Trollocs with him. Here, it's a 2-second fight, and he gets a little bit of a nick from the sword, and the
yeah,
poison is so super strong that he's out of it immediately.
yeah. But in the book, they miss the whole him Rand trying to get him back over the day, finding out about where he was born. He was born outside the Two Rivers, and they found where they found him on thingy. And his mum's not really his mum. They've just found him on a battlefield with the woman who had died, his mother who had died, and they took him and brought him up as their own. So you
Yeah.
find all that about Rand. So you're getting the state of who's going to be the dragon if once you understand the books. But it's a case of that whole story about being hunted the whole time and how he gets his dad from his farm into the village
Sneaking
where
through
he
the
thinks,
forest in the middle of
yeah,
the night, and there are Trollocs around in the forest. Not like here, they're like
yeah,
a super fast running army. They're not like they
yeah,
describe in the book. They actually are living beings themselves. They can't run forever. They
yeah,
don't run this fast. They
yeah,
also have to stop and eat and rest and all that stuff.
yeah. Captain, I wouldn't eat a current Amazon wagon wheel of time because it would be rotten in your mouth as soon as you bit into it. Believe me, after this episode, I wouldn't do that. So let's see. The land of the two rivers.
Mesopotamia, then. Yep.
Yeah, in effect, that's what they did. They basically the area between the two rivers. That's why it's called the two rivers. And it's between two rivers. But Mesopotamia, there's a load of other places that have the it's usually the river is some type of boundary. Fast flowing rivers. That's where this part. But it's Manetheren, and that they even talk about the old blood and all that. But they don't find all that until Moiraine talks to them and explains it. But she's already said, "Oh, it's old blood." They tell you so much up front and then just leave it. So
I
as Moiraine's
mean,
bodyguard, which in the case he's acting reasonably, but he is acting as Moiraine's bodyguard. But the warder, and Aes Sedai are there's a bond, literally a bond between them. So for an Aes Sedai to be take a warder, she gives him. There's a link between whereas he can feel that the Trollocs are a fade appearing. He can last longer without rest. because the bond between the two of them enhances certain senses. It's not a case of magic. It's just that the bond is used with the one power to create a bond between the two. And yes, he has a bodyguard, but the two of them are fighting against the Dark One. So the fact that they would quite happily leave a village to its fate to get away from the Dark One, it's in the book. The two of them, although he is her bodyguard, which a warder is, it's to help protect her when they're fighting the forces of the Dark One, the evil. Yeah, they're quite happy to run away from the forces of Ligmy just for that. It makes zero sense compared to the books.
Well,
But
even the entire fight sequence, and I know they wanted to bake in some action into it.
I
The
even thought those were
Winter
boring.
Knight's attack on Emmons, um, essentially in the aftermath, the day after, when they're picking up the pieces, they realized that they went straight for the blacksmith, then for Matt's place, and then for Rand's place. They didn't touch other things than that.
Yeah,
But here you have buildings exploding and falling down, hundreds of people above. They make it appear like hundreds of people dying. Whereas in the
yes.
book, there was tons of people that got hurt in the chaos, but it was only like a handful of them, and they knew exactly where they were going because Padam Fane, big spoiler alert in case people missed
Oh,
it,
you can see that. The Padden Fane just disappeared. They didn't know what happened to him. But in the trolley attack, he's just sitting there having his wee drink, watching all this. Then he just smiles, puts a bit drink down, and walks away. You know he's already involved in it. Whereas in the book, you don't because he just disappeared. Later on, you find out he is more involved in it. But this one, they tell you up front, involved.
they
Because he's sitting
basically
watching all these Trollocs murdering people, and he finishes his drink, puts it down, smiles, and just walks away into the darkness. And you're sitting there
you see,
thinking,
this is where I believe that you might be right. They're gonna big up Egwene as potentially the dragon, or even make her the dragon,
they're going
because
to make
they
Egwene
killed
or
Adam
Nynaeve the
Fane's
dragon.
storyline essentially by doing this, which means his whole interaction with it's him and Matt on their own when they get tracked down again. I don't remember exactly how far in it is, but Adam Fane is chasing them. I believe it's once they have the horn. So there is no
No,
Egwene
no,
part in that. It's
it's
part of
before they have the horn. It's when they after they leave Shadar Logar. Matt and Rand get separated from the rest of them, and they with Tom and the three of them go, and then at White Bridge, Tom gets attacks the Fade, and the two of them run, and he's still chasing them because he's the madman. It's always asking questions.
Yeah, but essentially all of that, because most of the Padon Fane involvement is there is no Egwene or Nynaeve really nearby when it's him. I believe they have a minimal interaction, but most of it is
The only time that he's there with them is at Fal Dara, and that's later on. That's
yeah.
down in the Borderlands with the Green Man. But the thing is, they're just putting bits in. I don't know. This was Paddington Fane was the trader. The oh in the book he comes across right at the beginning. He's just a wee trader. Basically, he's in there every year. He brings the messages. He basically is trading, and he's quite a jolly. And they're always friendly with them, and he's stuff like that. And the fact is, the way he was acting, you knew he was shady because he knows Matt's thieving stuff and he's buying it and he's sort of and you already know what character he is because it just they basically tell you in the book you don't know, you just think he's a thing made that during the Trollocs thing he died, he got dragged away. You don't know, it's only later on you find that he's still alive.
I mean,
And that's the
in
thing.
his entry into the village, I just got the feeling that the director, whoever it was, just said, "Oh, you remember that Lord of the Rings film from 2000? You know, when Gandalf comes in with the firework to the Shire? Let's do that. Let's cheer him that way." What did I say?
Yeah. I just this whole thing. It took me 3 hours to watch this one episode. That's why you said you'd watched the first three. I'm sitting there thinking, how the hell could you have managed that? I
I I muddled through. I'm
I
not.
couldn't literally. Do you know what I felt like? I felt like watching Ghostbusters 2016 to cleanse my palate. That's how bad I thought this was.
Yeah,
I
the
needed.
thing
It was just terrible. The fact is, I thought I could understand now why people who have watched the Timeless Child has stopped and get rid of all their Doctor Who stuff and didn't want to watch it again, or any Star Wars or any Star Trek, based on the fact that the new stuff has ruined the old stuff for them. Whereas I stopped watching the new Doctor Who before that, and I decided, nah, I'm separating the two. I'll watch my classics and ignore the new stuff because I didn't like it. And then people are
that's how
saying,
I'm
I
changing it
watched
as well.
Body and it's ruined it for me. And I'm sitting there thinking, why? Yeah, I watched one episode of this and look, it ruined the years. I've been 20 odd years I've been reading those books. And literally less than 10 minutes, I was clearing that shelf. 10 minutes into the episode, I was clearing that shelf because I did not want any reminder of that TV show anywhere in my house. It shows you how crap Amazon is.
It is definitely crap. Well, I think I'm gonna do an ass heels versus babyface, and
Yeah,
just muddle through and actually see. Because I'm curious, how far off target are they going to be able to land? I mean, they have no foundation to stand on because they have nothing of the source
no.
material that they played on.
See, Colin's right. Um, they're probably trying to make it for people who are not familiar with books. That's fine. However, what the hell's the point in taking a book and then completely changing it?
I
There's
mean,
no.
Lord of the Rings film
Yeah, you're
were
Matthew Peter
honest and
Jackson.
true to the source material, which led to a massive boom of people going and buying the books to read them as well as having a good film to enjoy. I
Yeah.
cannot for the life of me see anyone that has seen these first 3 episodes or something and think, oh, this looks like a fantastic fantasy book. I'm going to pick it up. And it's like by page 2, they're going to go, these two don't match up.
Well, that's the thing. The first 10 seconds of this and the prologue of the books, you read the two and you're sitting there thinking these are different stories. And if you're got to the point where you're saying these are different stories, they want to make Lord of the sex scene between Rand and Egwene, the bath scene between Moiraine and Lan, they want to make Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do, which is absolute fucking crap.
I mean,
And that shows to me that shows you
I'll
how
give
bad they
a
think it is. They need to actually
tiniest,
show.
I
They
will
need
give a
to show.
tiniest leeway to that because there is, and obviously, spoiler alert, sadly for those that haven't read it, but when Nynaeve managed to catch up to them in the books, um, there is that instant kind of chemistry between her and Lan.
Yeah,
But she has that, but is he not with Moraine because they have that more familiar bond? But it's because she doesn't understand the Aes Sedai warder bond. But it appears like they are an item, that they are together. So I can see if they try to do that. But even so, that bottom scene was a little bit too much
oh no, but the
nudity
difference
nudity
is
stuff.
in this one, if Nynaeve catches up with them, she'll track them down, and then he'll not be able to find her horse because she's a better tracker than him. So he'll fail to find her horse in this iteration. Do you think they're actually going to have him tracking as good as she would track in this?
Again, they're shooting themselves in the foot to do that because the reason Nynaeve has the attraction to Lan is because he's literally the first man, guy, boy, whatever you want, that she can't read. She can't bully around. She can't like wear him down like she does with the mayor of Emmonsfield. She just wears him down by just constantly nagging at him. She
Yeah,
can't do anything of these with Lan, which is why he's so
yeah.
much more appealing to her.
So
But they're killing that story if she's going to be berating him
yeah,
constantly and he's going to acquiesce to it all.
yeah.
It's
So
just not going to
based
work.
on the current episode, right? Obviously, Colin asked, and you've answered. Are you going to watch the rest?
I am. like I said, I'm quite tempted to do like what Ash does, but I'm probably not going to be as screamy or preachy. But I will definitely nitpick stuff apart and going, "What in the
Yeah.
world are you doing?"
What would you give it out of 10 for the first episode? I know it's more difficult because you've watched the first three. I'm aware of that.
No, the thing is, I cannot give this a rating because it's not Wheel of Time. It has borrowed some name from a very big franchise book, but that's about it. It's not Wheel of Time. It's not Wheel of
Right,
Time
so
in
for
magic.
real time, you're not going to give it a mark, but for a TV program,
If I knew nothing, then maybe I'd give this a 5-ish. Because I appreciate that there are so few fantasy series and everything out there. But would I rewatch it? Don't think so.
yeah. See, as a wheel of time, I would give it. Can you give it a negative number? Probably, unfortunately, not. But for a fantasy thing, what would I give it? Considering after 20 seconds, wanted to stop watching it, and I only watched it because we were going to review it, and it took me 3 hours to watch a 50-minute program. I would give it a 2 at the best, and the only reason it's getting a 2 is because it looks visually stunning. That is it. The characters are uninteresting, boring,
Yeah,
not likable, and the battle scenes were boring, dull, and the Trollocs meant nothing because where was all their battle armor and all that? So they've got big spike axes, but they're just big Wookiees, big thingy. They're just floating about in their fur. Nothing to do with that. So even the animation looked dull and boring, as if it was just threw together at the last minute. So although the scenes and the scenery was visually stunning, the special effects were mediocre. So I would give
yeah.
it a two at its
Unfortunately,
best.
they do not get better. I mean, Amazon and Sony Pictures, I believe, is producers behind this. They've released it now. They've considered this is good for market release, but there are so many places where you can tell that the VFX is half baked. It's grayed out. It's not got the correct color correction or tones or anything,
Yeah,
and you can see even camera work has failed when they had close-up scenes. You're supposed to see a human's eyes. You should be able to see the details, but you can tell that the camera just dropped off focus just before the eyes because the camera crew could not get the focus correct.
yeah,
It's not an artistic thing or anything. It's
yeah,
just a rookie mistake.
yeah. And look, there's the thing with Colin again. They thought the sex scene between Ran and Egwene worked partly because it set up tension when she announced she was asked to become the apprentice, which would end the relationship. However, in the books, it's that was the she mentioned about being asked, but it was never mentioned that if she becomes a wisdom, she could not marry. Most wisdoms didn't, but it was never a case of if you become a wisdom, you cannot marry. It was never
Yeah,
because they all talked about it. That's the thing. It was when she wanted to become an Aes Sedai, that's when it started causing issues. And then it was the fact that Rand and her just the relationship changed because they realized that they wanted something more. She wanted to become an Aes Sedai, so she was not interested in marriage. He wanted, he was forced into his role, so he didn't want to burden her with it. So they realized that the relationship had changed. So this part that if you become a wisdom, you cannot marry was
yeah.
is a fiction for this TV show and
Just
nothing
like
else.
most of the TV show is
Yeah,
fiction.
everything in this TV show is nothing to do it. Yeah,
I
and
mean,
that's it. Basically, women are the best, men are the worst, and men are all evil. Men cause all the problem, and it's up to the women to fix it. You look at the blacksmith. Who's the blacksmith? Is it
I mean,
Alvina?
if this was the only thing I knew at all about Wheel of Time, I could not for the life of me tell that Perrin was a blacksmith because
Yeah,
he's in the forge for a grand total of 5 seconds. You never see him pick up a tool or do any kind of blacksmith working. Not even bringing in coal for the furnace or anything. No
Yeah.
kind of work whatsoever.
Well, you look at the book for Perrin. He works as an apprentice to a master blacksmith.
Which is why he's so big.
Yeah, so he's meant to be big because later on he picks someone up bodily because they don't realise how strong he is. He didn't. It's not. It's a case of he just picks them up, moves them, puts them down. However, so he doesn't look big enough in it. But the fact is, he's an apprentice to a master blacksmith. But in this, he's the one that's having a drink, and he has to remind you that his wife is actually the blacksmith, and he should be helping her. So,
What was the blacksmith's name in the book? It wasn't
was it
Lila, it was
Gwen
Lura?
Alvear?
Master Hurlan?
No, was it not Master thing me do it? Because Alwyn was the wife.
I probably need to brush up more on the materials.
You know, the problem is my books and my audio books are gone halfway through the fourth book, and it just got deleted from my phone. No listening to it anymore. This has pissed me off that much. But is it Wheel of Time in the name only?
Barely.
Yes, literally, it is just somebody's taking the name. The fact is, you'll be able to find that because the trailer pissed me off because when you saw them burning an Aes Sedai at the stake, because somebody read in the books that the White Cloaks called them the Tarvalin witches. So what do you do with witches? You burn them at the stake. However, the one power doesn't need to be able to see or your voices. There's no way on earth she would be able to. She would let herself be burnt at the stake because she could just actually use the power to remove the bonds, put out the fire, and walk away. Anytime the White Cloaks thing wanted to kill, they filled her full of arrows because there's a limit to what she could have stopped. And once she's got a wound, and more and more. However, the fact that they've got her tied to a stake,
Yeah.
she loses power to stop, and it's things like that. So to me, is in name only, and it's only barely. No problem, Colin. We're going to actually be finishing shortly because there is another one we want to actually go. We, we want to go and see, and I guess whose it is because yours starts in 25 minutes. Is that correct? That's correct, isn't it?
It should be.
All right.
We talked about it in the
25.
last.
The Legend of King Arthur. It's how to grow a legend. So it is.
Fair point, even there by Colin.
Yeah, but and it's basically, you know, the thing like the old thing where you always see the witches getting burned at the stake. It's a trope of what is seen. But yes, but you look at all the TV, it was always the witches get burned at the stake. Burn the witch, and even Monty Python did it. Burn the witch, and stuff like that. It's basically that was what was seen. It witches got burnt at the stake.
Which is why it comes back to. It feels like, was it a critical drinker that said it? It's written by children and not even for other children.
Well, that's the thing. It's written by children because they think this is how children need to be. We have to tell you exactly what's happening every minute of every day. And you're sitting there thinking, really? Right, you people have to go because people, other Trollocs may come. Are you sure? No, what we'll do is we'll show all the Trollocs coming. Then we'll say, oh, look, you'll need to go now. And it's literally that attitude.
I mean, if I had seen that scene, if I was a villager and see that big army coming down, it's like, oh, really? You're telling me they're only going to go after these 4 guys? So if they run, the army is just going to follow them. They're not going to come down and have a nice snack on this tiny little unprotected village. Of course, they're going to burn the village to the ground.
Exactly. But it's the fact is, will I watch the rest of this? And this is the thing. What my head is saying is, if you say yes, I will kill you. That's what's inside my head. It is going.
It's absolutely down the drain, and I agree.
Yeah, it is literally. Will I watch it? I suppose what we'll do is ask the chat, ask, comment, if you want me to suffer through this week by week. And yes, at the most I'm going to do is one a week because I could not do 2 episodes a week.
You don't have to worry. There's only 4 more episodes to be released.
But still, 4 more episodes, so what, 10 all in all?
8.
8 all in all. That's
And
still another 7
unfortunately,
episodes.
the Twitter sphere doesn't really shut up. So I've actually got the news. There is a second season already in works.
Oh, well.
However, one of the main actors is being replaced by another actor.
Well, I knew that. The one that played Matt, because he did something that people in Hollywood didn't like, didn't agree with. So he's getting replaced.
Which is the perfect way to kill your TV show.
Of course it is. But the thing is, I'd already planned every Sunday do a Wheel of Time because I was so looking forward to this. I had my reservations, but the trailer looked really. It, there was still a couple of reservations there because of some things I'd seen in it, but on the whole, it actually looked as if it was going to alleviate it. And then I saw this first episode, and this first episode is basically you know the thing when they say you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Well, Amazon have tipped the barrel and started digging. They've not only scraped the bottom of the barrel, they've moved it. They've started digging underneath it.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
is literally, do I want to watch?
I came into this expecting, sorry, really bad. I just didn't ever foresee it being this bad.
The problem is, if I could find something that was really bad about the Game of Wheel of Time, I would be happy. Do you know what I would actually want to watch? The one I had mentioned the last time, the one about the thing with Billy Zane in it.
Yes, so the YouTube 20
Yes, the
minutes
usual
intro.
one that they did to try and keep the franchise. I would watch that 100 times than watch this fish. The
I mean,
problem is, do I want to
that low
continue?
budget had higher quality than all the 3 episodes I've seen.
Yeah, but even the fact is, it was not the greatest acted, but it was still a better, more true.
I mean, his version definitely had a feeling. It's like, oh, we have a Thursday afternoon. Here's a set.
Yeah,
Read your lines, read them a couple of times, and then we just like cobble something
yeah.
together.
But the fact is, it stuck to the book a lot more.
Well, it's
To me, that was
pretty
a
much the
better way of
entire
doing it.
opening of Lutheran breaking the world.
Yeah, the prologue
Yeah.
of the first book. But the problem is, do I want to continue and plough my way through this season one, knowing fine well there's more likely going to be a season two? And you know what they say, season one's always usually the best. It goes downhill from there. This one's already started at the bottom of the hill.
I
How
was
far
just going
can
to
it go
say
down?
that it's not even bottom of the hill; it's bottom of the lake at the bottom of the valley.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, do I want to watch it? Can I watch it? That's the problem. That's the worry. That's the worry of it. I had planned to do every Sunday. I'd organised to do every Sunday, but the idea every Sunday I have to plough through one episode.
I will be doing it. If you want to save yourself the suffering, I can probably release the videos on my own channel and just rant away for half an hour at how wrong they got things. But I'll be happy to have a chat about it as well on the stream. So
Right. What I'll do is we'll continue on. So season episode 2 next Sunday. So that way we're not going to actually overburden myself. That way you can catch a way ahead and then you can just review it again.
oh, Tara, you asked me to watch it twice.
No, I'm not asking you to watch it twice, but you're already, what, 3 episodes in? I'm only 1 episode in. So the problem was, I was actually getting, do you know how excited I was? Right. I have created a intro, which I had showed you last time.
Mm.
And I was actually going to get a voiceover for the intro. I'd already organised, get my wife to do a voiceover. Then I saw it, and then I said to her, don't bother. Do not bother. There is no point in actually creating something for this bad. So me actually just I could have actually tried to speak over the top of it, even with my
weird voice. I could have done it via this, and it would have still been more entertaining than the actual show.
Yeah. I am dreading going through it because there is no coherence, there is no likable characters.
yeah
Although I will say, Egwene, but it's not Egwene, but she comes across as a little bit sympathetic. Matt is actually the one that has a little bit more of a, should we say, the uplifting or relatable story.
yeah
But he's a loser. He's a gambler. He can't keep money, and he comes from a broken family. He's useless,
right. You
which
look
is
at it.
Matt from the book.
Right, so if I ignore the characters in the book, right, because I've got my favourite ones in the book, if I look at the 7 main characters in this, which are Lan, Moiraine, Nynaeve, Egwene, Rand, Perrin, and Matt, right? So they're the 7 main characters. Moiraine, no interest because I don't know, she's to me, she's a nothing. Lan, not interesting at all. Nynaeve, boring and immature, and no, boring is immature. Yes, it's probably it. Egwene, non-entity. Rand, a big nothing.
Mm.
Perrin, boring and uninteresting, and Matt, a waste of space. So, is there any characters I would like to follow in this? None, not one. That's the problem. Episode 1, and every single one of the characters I hate. Every single one. There's none of them I even like. Not one of them I like.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
fact is, Tam used to be a good character, and even at that, he he was a non-entity. He looked as if he was going to be a good character, but
he's
that's it.
in the book. He's fairly
Yeah,
pivotal to the life in Emmonsfield.
he is. And he's pivotal with the life in Evansfield. He's pivotal to Rand's story about Rand's understanding of where he came from and how he got his sword. Whereas in
Mm.
this one, his dad dragged it out under the bed at the very last minute. Didn't even kill a thingy with it, and Rand put it on. Why? He just put it on, and he was seen with it on. So it means nothing within this story, even though they showed you the hair and Mark Blade. It means nothing in this episode because there was no reason for him to have it apart from the fact is he brought Tam back into town and he was wearing it when he got into town. That was it.
Exactly, and I'm, I'm probably going to have to rewatch it because I'm pretty certain that I saw when they pulled the sword out, the heron mark is actually on the inside, so it would be in the sheath. It would not be visible by
Yeah,
other
it was
people.
actually on. It was basically he pulled it out. It was under the scabbard. There was
Yeah.
no herring mark on the. I didn't see any herring mark on the
So the
the
place they
pommel.
showed it, it's going to be completely useless for the rest of the story arc because he's getting noticed that he's having a
Yeah,
sword
because it needs to
master
have it. On,
sword.
it has to be on the sword, the blade, as well as the pommel.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you don't see it.
Another one in the minus list. They
Yeah,
screwed up the prop work.
yeah. But the problem is, I don't know. I'll need to see. But the plans is the episode 2 for next week. I might be lucky and I might get hit with a bus and I don't need to watch it. I might be really
I'll
lucky.
feel sorry for the boss.
Aye. Well, I'll actually, see if I see the bus, the first thing I'll do is the bus comes towards me is A, thank Christ I changed my underwear, and B, because my mum always used to say, you need to change your underwear because you get hit with a bus tomorrow. If I see a bus coming towards me, they're not going to be clean for long. And two, and two, I'll be sitting there thinking, at least I don't need to watch Wheel of Time episode 2. But it just goes to show how bad it is. I would watch Ghostbusters. I would watch The Last Jedi. I would watch Picard rather than this. Because I'm not as in with those ones, I enjoy the main TV shows, but I'm not invested in them the same way as I was on my books.
Yeah.
And the books have been removed.
But
I
the only thing we
found
can
them there.
really agree on, especially at this stage, so there is no recovery from it.
Yep.
This is not Wheel of Time.
Did you
It's
see what
not
came
based
today?
on the book. It's
Yeah, it's
basically
not.
just took the names from Robert Jordan's. So
Yep.
it's taken like a couple of city names, a couple of character names, but the rest of it, there is nothing there.
That's basically it. They've taken the, it's like turning around and saying that the Kardashians is based on the legend of King Arthur. They basically could have actually called one of them Arthur, and that would be as near as you would get. But anyway, did you see what arrived today? Did you see
Yep.
Twitter?
Oh, V for Vendetta.
Yep, it arrived.
It's nice.
It is. Basically, it was still in the cellophane. Look at the that's the disc cover. That's it there.
Ooh.
So really, really good. It was still in the cellophane, so I'm so looking forward to that. Maybe what
At
I'll
least
do
you
is
have a good recovery from the awful sensation of today then.
yeah, at least I've got books to read since that. So, but the problem is that's how bad it was that I had to remove that shelf with all my Wheel of Time stuff, literally boxed in a way. I did not want to see them. And so I can understand all these people who said after Timeless Child I couldn't watch all my Doctor Who stuff, and I thought just stick to the classic, get rid of the new stuff, then you separate them. But even then, I can understand it because the first thing after I watched that, even while I was watching it, I was clearing that shelf because it tainted. Because every time I I thought about it, so I saw if I was thinking about the book, and I thought Moiraine, I saw the character I'd seen on TV, so I had to get rid of it because every time I heard the names get mentioned, I remembered the characters on TV, and it ruined it because they were not the same characters.
No, but I fully understand that. Although the Star Wars films, even though I haven't seen the last two ones,
Same here.
I knew right away from The Force Awakens or whatever the first debacle piece of crap that really came out. It's like, nope, not for
Well,
me.
as soon as I
Not
saw
whatsoever.
that, do you know what I thought was? Seen this before. That's the Star Wars.
Mm.
It's exactly the same Star Wars. All they've done is made it instead of a Death Star, they made it a big planet, and it's effectively the same story. So I've
It's
already seen
exactly
it.
the same story. It's just got a
Exactly.
few
So I've
characters
already
jump
seen it.
around.
So what was the point? So I did watch it, but it was basically a non-entity. It would be me. It's like watching a reboot. It'd be like watching the new version of Charlie's Angels compared to Charlie's Angels, or a new version of Rollerball compared to the original. One's good and one's crap.
Yeah.
And that's the as soon as I saw it. So the rest of them I had no interest in because to me that's just a remake. So what's the point? So
Yeah, it definitely killed it for me. I was pleasantly pleased with Mandalorian.
never
It
watched it
it
because it
it
killed all the
felt,
Star Wars stuff for me because they were boring.
but the Mandalorian felt, and it was nice that they actually kept Jedi's out of it as much as possible, because I like the universe. I like the different roles and everything because not everybody in the Star Wars universe is a Jedi or a Sith. So I like that aspect of it, and they managed to do well for a little while, but then there was the whole debacle with Gina and Pedro fightings, and it's like, really? It feels like they're selling more drama outside of a TV show than inside a TV show. And they're
Of
trying to
course,
do
that's the
that to
thing.
promote it. And it's like, no, I'm not interested.
So I know it's terrible, but the thing is, if you've got a program that makes you want to watch those programs, that's how bad it is. So the good thing is, I know I'm not going to rewatch episode 1 ever again.
It's already downvoted on my Amazon, so I won't
The
get
thing
it
is,
suggest again.
I watched the first one on Amazon. I ain't watched the second one on Amazon. Amazon's not getting my view click. I'll use my VPN to get it from somewhere else, so Amazon don't get a click from me.
You're
Because
going all
I
Jolly
think
Roger on
it's
them.
that bad. Yeah, I'll go to Tortuga and get it. But the fact is, Amazon ain't getting a click for me because I do not want Amazon to think I like this crap.
I've seen the reviews already on Amazon, and
I
people
can
are not
guarantee
pleased.
they're all been fantastic. IMDb, I'm sure
No,
they'll
no,
all
no,
be
no, 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 no,
fantastic.
no, no. I will say this: the ones I saw, they are giving it very low rating, but they're being polite in saying like, "What do you mean? What's this? Perrin married, a kid on the way? He's barely 20 years old. He's still an apprentice. He wouldn't start a family and get married that early. He wouldn't be able to
But that's the
afford it."
thing. They're actually still missing the point. He's not an apprentice as such. His wife is the blacksmith. He just helps her out.
Yeah,
He's never been mentioned. He's an apprentice, but his wife is. His wife is there working away in the blacksmith, and he should be over there helping her out. So he's got nothing to do with it, except the fact is he helps his wife out, who is the blacksmith.
yep.
So all this about him being an apprentice and all this is not even mentioned. So it's a non-entity. So anybody saying he's married as his apprentice blacksmith, he's not. They never mentioned him being an
Yeah,
apprentice.
but that's
And
what I'm saying. That's why they say this has nothing to do with it. This never happened. This is
yeah,
completely wrong story. This gets a 1 star because it's the wrong story. That's what people are doing, and
yeah.
it doesn't look like it's going to get very high rating. But I
So
did see Rotten Tomatoes, and apparently 86% audience approval rating, whereas I
I
believe
don't
the
watch.
critics.
I never actually. I've never actually looked at a review for Rotten Tomatoes ever at all. I've seen them on other channels and stuff like that, but I've never got into Rotten Tomatoes to look.
I'm not that deep into it either, but I usually jump there if there's something that I see that is wrong,
Yeah,
because then I can tell, okay, this is fake news, this is disinformation that is being bidden out. Because who would the main audience of Wheel of Time be? The people that have read the book. Can you honestly tell me that 82% approval rating score from the audience that this would have been aimed at would be the correct rating after the first episode? No.
yeah. It is to me. It is the biggest load of tripe out there. So I will watch episode 2 next Sunday. I ain't watching it beforehand because I ain't ruining any of my week up until Sunday, and I'm definitely not watching it before we do Let's Talk Geeky on Saturday. I'll
Yeah.
watch it on Sunday. That way, it'll give me a 3-4 hour stig me to watch the next episode, and I will need 3-4 hours to get through. And I
Well,
couldn't watch it.
I will likely watch it on the Sunday as well, because the Friday you come home after work, you sort out food
Yeah,
and
exactly.
everything,
Friday's
and
thing, mate, and then
when
I'm
night
usually on
night.
with the father, and then in the Saturday, depends what we're doing in the Saturday night. I usually got things to catch up on and stuff like that. But I normally
But
like to watch
anyway, shall we
things
get ready
twice.
for
Yeah, I normally
Collins?
like to watch things twice, so I do. This time I
I
couldn't watch.
bet you didn't do it on this one.
No, I couldn't even watch it once. I was literally kept turning it off, going to do something else, and then come back to it. It literally was that bad. If I wasn't reviewing it, I would not have watched it after the first minute.
Yeah, I will agree. I would not have continued watching all of it, if it wasn't for this.
Yeah,
But now I feel like, crap,
yeah,
I'm all the way in there already.
yeah,
I will see where it's leading, but I'm probably not picking up season 2 unless I get tens of thousands of subscribers on YouTube.
yeah. If you want me to review it, subscribe and actually tell me how much you want me to review it. If you don't want me to review it, subscribe and tell me how much you don't want me to review it, and tell me what you want to review. However, I don't think I'll like it just even for the subscribers. But leave a comment, like, share, and if you've not, please subscribe. And from myself and Jim, we'll say good night to you. And remember, I'm not old, I'm classic. PJ may be out. Now I need to find the off button.